Space Research Organization has put out the first moon image captured by India's ambitious lunar mission, the Chandrayaan-2. The image was taken at a height of about 2,650 kilometers from the lunar surface. Identified in the picture are the Mare Orientale Basin and Apollo craters. In another instance of Pakistan's lies being called out on the world stage, this time Sri Lankan President Maithripala Sirisena's office has denied parts of a statement issued by the Pakistan High Commission in Colombo on Kashmir issue. Sri Lankan President's office had denied all the claims made by Pakistan. The office has said that Maithripala Sirisena did not comment on issues pertaining to India and Pakistan during his recent meeting with the Pakistani High Commissioner. Russian opposition politician Alexei Navalny appeared in court where a judge will consider the exact terms of his 30-day detention. The Kremlin critic was arrested for calling an unsanctioned protest, commenting on the cases brought against peaceful protesters for alleged mass arrest. Kremlin critic Navalny said the cases were fabricated. Navalny was earlier treated in hospital for an allergic attack at the end of July following his detention. A fire has broken out at a candle-making factory on Thursday in the Russian city of St. Petersburg. The video released by the Russian Emergency Services shows firemen battling the flames and black smoke. Helicopters were seen dropping water from above on the factory. According to local media reports, the fire broke out on the third floor of the 4-story building in a candle-making factory. Russia showcased the world's first floating nuclear power plant. It is called the Academic Lomonosov. Russian authorities highlighted the advantage of a floating nuclear plant. They said that the plant's mobility allows it to reach any point with demand for energy. They also claimed that the Academic Lomonosov would do no harm to the environment. The ship is expected to leave Murmansk for a long journey along the Northern Sea route. The power plant will be sailing to Chukotka, which is located in Russia's far east. In Argentina, labor union leaders and their members gathered in the streets of Buenos Aires. The labor union held a protest against the economic policies of President Mauricio Macri. The protester held signs that read out Macri and IMF. The union said that they felt emboldened by the defeat of Macri in the recent primary votes. Centre-left presidential candidate Alberto Fernandez topped Macri by 16%. The margin is large enough to suggest that Fernandez might win a first-round victory in the general election. Hundreds of Papuans staged a peaceful protest in the Indonesian capital of Jakarta. The protesters have been demanding self-determination for West Papua region. The protesters carried banners and Free Papua flags and gathered around the presidential palace chanting slogans. Indonesia has arrested 34 people and cut internet access in Papua to rein in violence as anti-Indonesia sentiments rise in the region.
Karena AUKUS dia punya wewenang dikebiri oleh hari ini ketemu Pak Presiden.
The Syrian government has announced the opening of a new humanitarian corridor in Idlib. The corridor will be used to evacuate civilians who want to leave areas controlled by terrorists in northern Hama and the southern countryside of Idlib. The announcement comes a day after President Assad's forces captured the strategic Idlib province town of Khan Sheikhoun from jihadists and allied rebels. An offensive to retake Idlib has been ongoing for the past 3 months now. Idlib remains the last major rebel-held bastion in Syria. United Nations spokesperson has said that the organization is very concerned about the most recent forest fires in the Amazon. They also added that sustaining forests is crucial in our fight against climate change. United Nations spokesperson has said that all forests were essential for the health of the entire world. His comments come after Brazil's official monitoring agency reported a sharp increase in wildfires this year. El Huascaran stands strong amidst climate change. A team of scientists from Latin America, Europe and the United States are in the Huascaran National Park to find out why the effects of climate change have not yet hit the glacier in this remote part of Peru. Scientists will be staying at the site to collect samples for about a month. Ice collected will then be sent to Ohio State University in the United States for further analysis. Investigators hope the results may shed new light on how to best fight climate change. In Bolivia, firefighters are taking on the battle against wildfires from both land and air. Firefighters are using helicopters to dump water on hotspots. They're also using dirt and sand to put out smaller flames in regions like Santa Cruz. Local media showed flames dangerously close to the highway leading to Brazil. Authorities have warned that 70% of Santa Cruz is under extreme risk from forest fires. At least 3 people have been killed and 22 injured during a thunderstorm in Poland's Tatra Mountains. Lightning hit a group of tourists on the mountain after a sunny morning turned stormy. Tourists often aim to end their trip at the top where a 15-meter iron cross was installed in 1901. The cross is said to have attracted lightning. Clouds were seen descending through Grimsel Pass in the Swiss Alps and into a nearby valley. The clouds look like a river of vapor as a result of a meteorological phenomena known as inversion. Bullfrogs, pythons and penguins were among the animals to hit the scales at London Zoo for their annual weigh-in. The creatures are weighed in order to find out more about the health of the animals. The zoo houses over 19,000 animals representing more than 560 species. It will take a week to weigh all the animals, some of which will include Asiatic lance, South African porcupine and South American goats. Bebe, the giant panda, has turned 4 now. The National Zoo in Washington, D.C. celebrated the day with a frozen cake made of Bebe's favorite foods like applesauce and sweet potatoes. Crowds were also seen outside his enclosure singing happy birthday. The occasion is bittersweet as it is Bebe's last birthday at the zoo. He was born according to the zoo's breeding agreement. All giant panda cubs born outside of China will be sent back to join the Chinese breeding program. For the first time, an international conference on endangered species has agreed to protect giraffes. The measure would regulate the trade in giraffe parts, including hides, bone carvings and meat, while stopping short of a full ban. The population of wild giraffes is much smaller than that of wild African elephants. An Indonesian man is walking more than 700 kilometers backward. He's walking from his home in eastern Java to the country's capital to raise awareness about deforestation. MILESTONE began his expedition in July. The 43-year-old is expected to arrive in the Indonesian capital city of Jakarta on Friday. MILESTONE hopes to meet President Joko Widodo and ask him to replant trees in Mount Willis. MILESTONE said that the philosophy behind backward walking is to commemorate the history of national struggle. This isn't MILESTONE's first backward walk. The city of Paris has unveiled a new museum dedicated to the city's liberation from Nazi rule in the Second World War. The Museum of the Liberation of Paris will open to the public on August 25th. The museum will display everyday objects from the Nazi occupation of Paris during the Second World War. It will also showcase military equipment and documents relating to resistance fighters and everyday Parisians. 7,000 items are on display, including Nazi flag, a cigarette box, and a gas mask.